Welcome to Confessions of a Cleaning Business Owner. Today we're going to be talking about, is it too easy to start a cleaning business? But before we start, Diane's got a little bit of an announcement, and I want to start with happy birthday, Diane.
Oh
It's been
God.
a big one. Have you had a good time?
Yeah, I've had a really lovely time. We went away for a long weekend. So we went away on my actual birthday to a place called Carcassonne, which is in the southwest of France, about 5 hours drive south for us. And it's a beautiful, what's called a bastide. So it means that basically it's like a fortified, it's got a castle, and yeah, it's a beautiful old city. So yeah, we had a lovely time. Thank you.
And happy birthday. I can't wait to celebrate it soon. So I'm going to throw you straight into it now, Diane, having just distracted you. Is it too easy to start a cleaning business? So why is this a topic close to your heart at the moment?
Well, it is. It's, I've probably been ranting a little bit on social media lately about people not being trained, people not being insured, and that sort of thing. And so all these things I am passionate about. I'm passionate about our industry. But I do think one of the biggest positives about our industry is it's easy to start. But I think it's also one of the biggest negatives in our industry is it's easy to start because it changes the perception of the industry from the outside. People are like, well, anybody can do it. And it also, I think, changes the perception from the inside in that we undervalue ourselves. We underestimate what it actually takes to create a cleaning business. It means the market gets flooded. We all, well, I say we all, we probably don't, but a lot of people in the industry complain about people being underpriced. I think it can lead to a lack of professionalism. People burn out in our industry really quickly. I just think the fact that it's so easy is brilliant, but it's also terrible. So it's a mixed thing for me, definitely.
Okay, so talk me through. There's no barriers to entry when you start a cleaning business, is there? So how do people normally enter the industry?
Well, I think a lot of people, as we know, they enter the industry because it's something that they can see that can work around family. Sometimes they see it as a bit of a side hustle, something that they can start relatively easily. It's relatively cheap to start up, especially if you're using the client's equipment. There's almost zero startup costs. You don't need any qualifications. And so, yeah, I think people just see it as an easy route into earning some money and potentially building a business. But actually, I think most probably fit it around family and an easy way of earning money.
Seeing recently across every industry is this rise in the side hustle culture because people's wages haven't risen in anything like inflation. People are now earning less than they were 30 years ago, relatively. It's now becoming very normal to have a second job or a side hustle. And definitely I've seen this. It's been creeping up post lockdown, post COVID, but we're seeing it quite a lot now, aren't we? Talk me through this side hustle.
Yeah, I've had a few conversations with people recently that have a full-time job and are like, I want to start a cleaning business on the side, as with a view to, with actually everybody I've spoken to, with a view to eventually replacing the full-time job, but definitely at least for the first year or two working alongside the full-time job. I'm seeing that a lot. And it's often people that are in the industry, but actually it's more often people that are not in the industry at all, seeing it as an opportunity to build something outside of their full-time job.
And why do you think they're choosing the cleaning industry, in particular domestic cleaning? Why do you think that that's attracting people?
Well, I think perhaps it comes down to the fact that it is so easy, and people's perceptions of it are that it's easy, and everybody sees it as a really simple service that everybody understands, everybody can clean, whether I agree with that or not. But I think that's how people see it, as a really easy side hustle that requires no qualifications, low startup costs, and they see it as really simple and easy.
You must have seen success stories of people that have done this as well.
As a side hustle, probably I've seen success, but I've also seen that it's harder than people expected it to be.
Okay, tell me more.
Well, I think that the main challenges around having a full-time job and then having a cleaning business as a side hustle. I think it's probably easy if, that you as the business owner are going to go out and clean in the evenings outside of your job. That's slightly different. But the people that I've been speaking to are those that actually want to run a business, not clean themselves, but to actually bring on clients and bring on team members and match the two. And I've had varying conversations, but the main challenge that that person has had that I've seen is they're a bit chicken and egg situation. Do I get the clients first, but then I can't go and clean for them, or do I get the team first? And that's the initial short-term problem, of course. There are lots of other challenges that will be there that when you're doing it as your full-time profession is slightly different challenges to somebody that is working elsewhere and simply hoping they can build a business on managing a team.
Okay, so if I was going to start a side hustle on top of my full-time job, and I got over the initial, I got customers and I got stuff, what problems would you be advising me? What problems would I expect to face?
Well, it would really be about, because in any business, no matter what your business model is, I believe that you need to anticipate problems and put things in place to try and stop those problems happening in the first place, because otherwise you will just spend all your time firefighting and reacting rather than planning and managing, which is what most people dream about and when they first start a business. So the main challenges they're going to have, and we have them in our businesses on a pretty much daily basis, especially if they're going for the domestic market, is what are they going to do if a cleaner is not available? And also one of the other challenges, and this you said, you said that assume that they've got over the startup, but there's also an element here of what business model are they going to go for and what systems are they going to put in place to make that business model work as a side hustle.
Okay, so when you say business model, are we talking employed or self-employed, or are we talking like partnership, limited company? What is it you're referring to?
When I talk business model, I suppose I'm talking initially what kind of clients are you going to have? So either are you building a commercial cleaning business, are you building a domestic? And depending on which one you're going to go for, if you're going to build a domestic cleaning business, are you going for the agency model or are you going for the fully managed model? And yeah, certainly if you're going for commercial, I would completely advise against using self-employed contractors unless you are literally subcontracting a contract. But in domestic, yeah, there is the option of self-employed versus employed. But really, for me, it would be what customers do you want? How are they going to pay you? How are you going to train, manage, and pay your team? That would be what I'm talking about when it comes to business model.
Okay, so having spoken to a lot of people that are just starting out, their answer to that would be, I'll take on whatever customer wants me, right? So just regular domestic work. I'll take on whatever customer that wants me, and they're going to pay me by bank transfer or cash. Surely that's easy. Is this not quite easy? Is this going to cause me any problems?
Thing is, that is easy if you're the one delivering the cleaning or you're at least going to be available during the day to manage this process. But if you are at a desk 9 to 5, no access to your phone, who is managing your team? How are you managing your team? And how are you managing your customers? And what are you going to do if there's a problem during the day? Because if it's domestic cleaning, I guarantee you there will be a problem at some point during the day. And so you need to think about how you're going to manage that. Is your current employer going to be accepting of the fact that you're going to have to break away from your work with them in order to manage a problem or a situation that's arisen during the day? So that would be the sort of thing that I would be saying to someone that wants to start a domestic cleaning business alongside a full-time job is figure that out now before you start, because you can't figure it out on the run because you'll then cause yourself worse problems than if you've at least thought about it in advance.
So what I'm hearing, okay, is that if so you look at a cleaning business and how it should run, it is absolutely easy and actually it works perfectly as a side hustle. And on paper, that is an absolute doddle. But what I'm hearing you say to me is, yeah, I agree with that. On paper, if it was to run perfectly, it's fine. The issues come as soon as there's any issues. And what I'm hearing is issues come really quickly and a lot of them.
Well,
Um,
issues are all in any business are all caused by people, usually. Maybe equipment, but usually they're caused by people. And if you're not available to manage those moving parts of your business, then those problems can magnify. Now, I don't mean it's impossible. I'm just saying you need to think about how is that going to work.
Okay, and is that where it normally goes wrong when quality issues start popping up or lack of attendance issues? And are those the main issues?
Well, there's that, but there's also, when you're a remote manager, and now I have this in my business, I run my business remotely, but I have a team in place that are actually there in the face of the business. But the challenge is when you're recruiting how are you going to sell the culture of the business if the culture of the business is, it's all managed by technology? So I'm not saying it's going to be impossible to recruit, but it's going to be harder to recruit. Then it's going to be coming from the client point of view. Those clients are going to be harder to get for somebody running the business remotely that's not involved. Obviously, you're probably not going to tell the customers that you're not involved, but if you don't have a system in place that is going to look after them, and their expectations, as we know, is that you're going to look after them really well whenever they need you to look after them, whether that's in the daytime, whether that's in the evening, whether that's at weekends. So, but if you've got a well set up domestic cleaning business, most problems will happen, hopefully, during the daytime. But if that's when you're at work being paid by somebody else and not available, I think that's going to cause you a challenge if you want to run a domestic business as a side hustle. I think if you want to run a commercial business as a side hustle, you'll have different challenges. And a lot of people will say, commercial contracts are harder to get in the first place, and they might be. But also, you're going to have different challenges in that outside of your working hours, the problems will probably occur. So that's a good thing. But it's just going to be, you're just going to have different challenges. But for me, it's all about planning what you're going to do about it. And that's where I think the problem is with it being so easy and perceived as so easy. People don't expect there to be these problems, so they don't plan ahead.
So I'm going to bring up a couple of those points. I might as well turn this into a debate today, right? When we say
Absolutely.
culture of the business, the reality for a lot of domestic cleaning businesses is there a culture, particularly if we're running it as an agency model where the cleaners may not even see each other. How much attention do we really need to put into the culture of the business if we are running it remotely and actually, they don't need to, meet anyone or see anyone? Does that really matter?
It matters, and it's about being smart about it as well, isn't it? When it comes to something like this, it's like, the culture of your business might be that we offer you this amazing system that allows you to work independently. We will handle the hassle for you, and all you need to do is worry about delivering a great service. That could be the culture of the business. There's nothing wrong with that. But in terms of retention, you just need to be aware that you have to be valuing the team that are delivering the service, because if they don't feel valued, they won't stay.
I've got another point I want to bring up there as well. You said that obviously you can't solve a lot of these problems. There's customer service issues. There is an argument that actually, let's say I was brilliant at customer service, but I'm only available after 4 o'clock. Is it not better to have someone brilliant at customer service than have a less good at the time but isn't dealing with it very well? There's a lot of the issues, particularly in domestic cleaning. The reality is you probably could deal with it a couple of hours later, because with the best will in the world, and obviously I've run domestic cleaning business, I cannot be there at every moment with every person. Sometimes they do have to wait. So is there such a problem with actually waiting a few hours till 4 o'clock when I am available?
I completely agree. And that's why I'm saying is you need to figure out what these problems are going to be and decide how you're going to manage them. So if you're not going to be available till 4 o'clock, well, that's what you let your customers know, or you have a system in place that responds immediately, but lets them know when they can expect a full response. So that's what I mean about this. I'm not saying that it makes it impossible. What I'm saying is if you can think about it in advance, then you can mitigate some of these problems without having to firefight later.
So I love this. So from your point of view, would you start a side hustle running a cleaning business?
That's a hard question for me to answer, because I can help somebody create a side hustle. I wouldn't want to do it myself, obviously, but yeah, we can help people do it, because it is possible, provided you put all the right moving parts in place, and you know that you're building a business though. And I think for me, I'm not keen on the side hustle thing of, for me, you're just starting a business. I don't actually like the mentality of the side hustle, because for me it diminishes what you're doing, and most businesses start off as a small business, and that's what a side hustle really is. It's just a small business. It just happens to be alongside a full-time job, rather than somebody that can quit their current job and go straight into it. Because the reality is, even those of us that started our businesses more organically and started off doing the cleaning ourselves, we were building something quite small to start with, and then we started to grow it by building a team. that's the same thing really as somebody doing it alongside a full-time job. And, some of us do it alongside full-time families, caring, that sort of thing. So I'm not keen on calling it a side hustle.
This is how I felt I started. So I was pregnant when I started. And then obviously I had a young, brand new baby during that time. And so I would never have called it a side hustle, but it wasn't my number one priority. Obviously, I had a baby at that time. And I see a lot of people that have got big families or new families, and the families do take priority. So there's an argument that just because you haven't got a full-time job, if you've got a full-time family, you could say that's a side hustle as well. And so, yes, sometimes I don't like this side hustle idea, but I think the issues for me come in that it is easy to start, right? There's no barriers to entry. It's relatively easy. Let's say you get over the balance between getting customers in and getting staff in. It's when you hit about we say 7 to 12, it's about 7 to 10 staff. Problems are happening, on a fairly regular basis, and you're not making enough money to quit your job, yet the problems have hit sort of critical capacity whereby you need to be coming in and almost managing it on a full-time basis. And I think what we see is if you're working full-time in your business, this is crunch point because you can't stop cleaning, but yet you need to stop cleaning and start managing it. It's exactly the same if you're working remotely. Really, you need to start managing it. And for me, I think it's the same. That's the problem point, whether you're working in it or whether you're working remotely. You almost at that point need to jump into the business.
Yeah, it's the off the tools point, isn't it? Which, like you say, is usually around 7 staff, where you've potentially replaced your income either as a cleaner or your full-time income, and you need to jump in now and go next level, or you can probably keep it where it is and manage the problems. But if you want to grow from there, it's going to be pretty hard. You would have to be almost a superhero to do that alongside full-time work or alongside full-time cleaning yourself. And yeah, it's definitely that crunch point for people, isn't it? But
I think if you look at the stats at that point, by the time you've got a team of, say, 10, particularly, and when I say a team of 10, I'm not talking about them working 2 or 3 hours each. We're talking a team of 10 working 20 hours a week each. So you've got 200 hours of cleaning going on at this point. For me, at that point, you've got a lot of customers because in the domestic industry, to do 200 hours, you're comfortably looking probably 80 customers. Some of them are going to be every 2 weeks. You're comfortably going to have a book of over 100 customers. You've probably got payroll of some kind going on, whether it's self-employed or that. You've got loads of different issues popping up. You've got to be doing marketing. You've got to probably be doing the quotes. I'd say you're looking at working comfortable 3 hours a day at that point. And to progress any further, you're going to have customers dropping off, staff dropping off that you're going to constantly be replacing at about 3 hours a day. That's the point where, if you're cleaning and you're already working 6 hours a day, you've got to do those 3 hours on top of it. If you've got a full-time job, you're already doing 3 hours on top of it. How do you push beyond that? Where do you get more of you from?
But I also think, we started off sort of, it's too easy to start a cleaning business and it causes challenges within the business, within the industry. But, anybody that does get to that point, and if you're listening and you are at this point of, say, 7 to 10 staff, congratulations, because, you are actually now ready to take the next step and move to the next level. And hopefully, if you are at the point where you can replace your income from your job or replace your income from cleaning, and hopefully you've focused on the right things in terms of your pricing and building systems and et cetera, et cetera. But to go next level, you've really got to look at every aspect of your business, haven't you? And fix and change and sort of alter and manipulate things and just sort of iterate those changes in order to make sure that as you do next level, you don't then collapse everything, don't you?
So I'm going to go back to the original question of, is it too easy to start a cleaning business? And change it slightly. Do you think that the ease of starting the cleaning business causes a problem in the industry, Diane?
I do. Yeah. I think that, I talked at the beginning, it's like, because people think it's so easy, I think everybody perceives our industry, particularly domestic cleaning, but actually the cleaning industry generally. People don't see it as a professional industry. People don't see it as something that's worthwhile either doing or building a business within, everybody thinks that they can do it. And there's an element of everybody could clean. Not everybody can't clean, but everybody could clean. And I just think that it damages the industry from outside, and it also damages the industry from within when people flood the market with an easy business, an easy side hustle. People burn out, people come and go in this industry so much. Whereas actually, if people focused on building a profitable, say, sustainable businesses, that would be better for our industry as a whole than the, well, anybody can do this.
Do you think that the ease of starting a business is the biggest problem in our industry?
I think it's probably the biggest cause of some of the problems in our industry, or it's certainly the starting point for some of the biggest problems in our industry. I don't think it is the biggest problem, but I do think it's definitely one of the causes, because people can the fact that people can come into this industry with zero qualifications and start employing people, for example, when they have no clue about what contracts they need, what legislation there is, how to manage a team, the legalities around HR, and also the legalities around creating a workplace for other people and the health and safety risks that they're exposing people to. So I think the fact that it is easy with no qualifications needed does cause that problem, and a few others as well.
Okay, I'm going to slightly disagree with you here, because I think anyone that's starting a side hustle is approaching this generally quite right. They're looking at it as a business and as a business plan, particularly if they're not working in their business. And I think more of an issue is almost the people that go, I clean for a couple of friends and family, they give me some money. And I'm going, well, yes, you're a business owner now. You need to be declaring that, number one. Number two, there's a lot of health and safety rules that if you're being paid for it, you are, a professional cleaner. And so actually, I have less of a problem with those that are properly starting it as a side hustle, looking into it, and more of the problems with actually people drifting into it, not really knowing or even accepting that they are a professional cleaner. And they're the ones that are not looking at some of the health and safety. But actually, for me, more of an issue is there's no legislation whereby they do have to abide by the health and safety. When was the last time someone was pulled up for breaking a load of these health and safety rules? Very rarely. And that for me is more of the issue. Like, if you want to start a side hustle, go do it. I don't think they're damaging the industry as much as others.
No, and I didn't mean that the side hustle mentality is damaging the industry. The fact that it is so easy to start a cleaning business of any type, whether it's a side hustle or your main income, I think damages the industry for the very reasons you've just said, that there's no regard for health and safety legislation, and it is there. But because anybody can start a cleaning business so easily, nobody cares about it. And it's quite a hidden industry as well, because it is so easy to start. People don't declare their income. And overall, that damages not just the perception of the industry, but the professionalism of the industry. And the people working within it are being damaged. They're using products that are damaging their health, using methods that are damaging their physical ability to move around, not immediately, but later in life, they will be regretting some of those decisions. And yeah, so I do think it's the fundamental problem of our industry, is that it's too easy.
It's too easy to make mistakes.
Too easy to start, and therefore the mistakes come thick and fast. And, I think what the industry needs is not more people out there cleaning, it needs more people out there building better cleaning businesses.
This is something that's flagged up quite regularly when people say, well, I can't charge enough to cover my costs. So we're saying you need to be charging minimum £25 an hour. And they're like, but in my area, there's 100 different cleaners all charging £20 or less. And I know we flag this up so often. I mean, is that an issue as well? There's too many people just going in and saying, I'll do it for £13.
And again, it comes back to it's too easy. The market just gets flooded, and nobody has any sort of experience or qualifications and doesn't necessarily listen to the messages that we send out on a regular basis, that this is how much you need to be charging in order to make this sustainable, because they just see it as an easy way to make money. They might see it as that side hustle, easy way to make money, or it might just be actually it's an easy way out of not earning any money, just to earn some money. And again, this is what's good about our industry. You can earn money pretty much straight away, but it's also what's bad about our industry, that people undervalue themselves, and it causes challenges for them and for the rest of us in the industry too.
Oh, that was quite controversial, Diane. So what you're saying is side hustles work. In fact, starting a cleaning business works, but do it properly.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what, that's always our message, isn't it? Is that, and I put out a post a little while ago about, about the industry and people not charging enough. And I got some really interesting interactions, shall we say. But you know what, it's always said with love for our industry and for the people within it that this is our message and we're not going to waver from it because you tell us you can't charge that in your area, or you tell us I don't agree. It's like, I'm not going to waver for the message because I believe it to be true, and it's
So
just how it is.
haven't read that. I haven't seen your latest post. I'm guessing, given previous ones, you are greedy. Wrong. I don't know. What else are you? There's a whole load of, I'm so used to reading these, they just go over my head now.
Yeah, at least two people said I haven't put my, because I actually started my post saying if you haven't put your prices up this year, then you're not charging enough. Simple as that. But there was a few other things as well, but that was the one, because it was the first one on the list. That's the one that people most jumped on, and they were like, well, I haven't put my price up this year and I can still afford a foreign holiday. And so actually somebody said they could afford three foreign holidays this year, and I'm not greedy. I don't want to put my prices up because my customers can't afford it. So all this sort of, I call it baggage around money, just came out on the post. There were lots and lots of people that completely agreed with me, actually. So it wasn't all, and I don't see it as negative. I just see it as a chance to have a conversation, because if we don't talk about it, then the message doesn't get out there. So, feel free to question me. I will always reply and have that conversation. Somebody even said, well, petrol hasn't gone up, it's gone down. I'm like, yeah, but everything else about your car has gone up. Petrol might be slightly cheaper. I don't know how much it's gone down by, 10 pence a litre. But go to the garage, I guarantee you the prices have gone up. Get new tyres, I guarantee you the price has gone up. I definitely guarantee your car insurance has gone up. So, you can come in to me and say, well, this hasn't happened, but in reality, everything else. And I know that you had a conversation with somebody that was like, yeah, I'm having 3 foreign holidays this year and I'm a solo cleaner and it's great. But the reality is, not most people in our industry aren't doing that. And that was, my message was aimed at people that are undervaluing themselves.
Yeah, when you look at 3 foreign holidays, the reality, again, it's hard for me because we've got a family. So a foreign holiday, you're looking 4 grand. So that's
Yeah.
12 grand on 3 foreign holidays. How much are you earning to be able to put, bearing in mind, you've got to pay your rent, your mortgage, your whatever, plus food. And I don't know what you guys are spending, but I'm spending a minimum. And I think we do it quite cheap, cook from scratch and everything. We're spending £150 a week on food as a family of 4. So I'm going, that's £600 plus the average rent, £1,000. That's £1,600. Then we add in our £12,000 a year. You've got to earn 2.5 grand just on food and rent or mortgage and your holiday. And then obviously there's a whole heap of other costs. And I'm going, so you've got to walk away with over 3 grand minimum a month. And I don't know how many hours you're working, but that's, as a solo cleaner, as a small team, that's hard going.
Yeah.
Like, that's tough. Okay, when you've got a bigger team, yes, it becomes possible. But as a solo cleaner, without having that subsidized by either someone else's income or really it's someone else's income most of the time, or savings, or you're not having to pay a mortgage, or you're not paying rent. I kind of go, when people are coming on and making these statements, you go, how is that possible? Like, you cannot afford to do all of that as a solo cleaner. Even if you're earning sort of £40 an hour, you are going to struggle to do all of those things. And I love watching the debates on there. And I didn't really wade in on that one. I did see it actually. Now I think about it, it was a week ago, wasn't it? But yeah, some of those debates are silly. I don't put my prices up because I can afford to do all of these things. But it's keyboard warriors, isn't it?
Yeah, and like I said, I don't mind the conversation because, part of our role with the DCBN is to try and educate and help the industry and support the industry. My message is always sent with knowledge and with care and with an offer to support and help. So yeah, I don't mind those conversations, especially as I think 99% of the people actually were going, hell yes, say it loud kind of messages. So it is getting out, isn't it?
Yeah. Mine is said with knowledge and care and a little contempt.
Absolutely. That's what we love about you, Louise. Yeah, so hopefully people have found that interesting. Like I said, it's not there to say that it's too easy and that's a bad thing, but it is to be aware, I suppose, of the fact that it's so easy and it causes us problems in the industry.
I love it. Thank you, Diane. Always an interesting one. Let's catch up with you on the next one.
Thank you.